As shown in the title, this was the risk management plan that my group and I had managed to conjure up. I believe that the bare minimum it covered the basics, including weather reports, scenario management, first aid, what to pack, and risk management strategies for dangers. However, I also think that some areas could do with improvement. For starters, with the menu plan, some of the feedback was that it was a bit bad. There was the breakfast, for one, was a bit light on, and the drinks were a bit unhealthy. For example, instant coffee was recommended. In hindsight, I'd suggest just a glass of water instead. The environmental management plan was pretty good, but there was specific feedback which I was unable to access. And the risk management plan was very solid, but there were a few standard procedures that were not included or explained well. The equipment list had some things that were left out, basic things, for example, matches and the water bladders, which were for communal use, and the gear required to protect climbing equipment and anchors, such as the bandage things for the ropes to stop rubbing. Yeah. Overall, I would say that we did implement the trip management plan successfully. In particular, on risk management, I would say that it was done very well. We had discussions as well afterward, before we do a event and evaluate the dangers. We would stay well beyond the 2 meter mark where we'd have to be clipped in. I would say that we just followed it very well. However, I don't have any evidence to show of me implementing the things. However, the only evidence I have gained is of my rock climbing technique. And through those videos, you can clearly see that I am hooked in and harnessed. I have 2 backups. I have a belayer, and I'm safe. I think the evidence of, instead of being photos, the evidence is what we packed and what wasn't used. As a lot of the stuff wasn't really used. For example, it was predicted that there was a storm, and a few people bring ponchos and protective linings for their tents to protect their gear from the rain, but it didn't rain, so there was just extra baggage. Another aspect was the food. For example, some feedback from Mr. Dalglish, my teacher, was that some of the meals in breakfast particular, they were quote unquote light on, end quote. So I believe that the group actually packed some more food, which is good because none of us went really hungry. The techniques that are being shown in this photo are the weight placement and my ability to relocate my center of gravity. It can clearly be shown that my weight is hovering over my left leg, which allows me to push up using my left leg. My foot and hand hold should also be noticed, as my left leg is using a smear technique, which is very effective technique as it allows you to use a variety of difficult footholds and be able to still hang on to the cliff edge. I'm also using a crimping handhold on my right hand as well, which also allows you to grip very small handholds, making it a very strong hand grip. This photo depicts the chimneying technique being deployed. This is enacted by putting pressure on your back by pressing the opposite cliff face with your feet. While not exactly versatile, this is an important skill for rock climbers as they don't have to climb a cliff face, as it is gentle on the body and doesn't use as much energy as normal techniques do. Similarly to the first photo, this figure shows my ability to clearly use smear and crimping techniques. These techniques are 2 of the most popular and widely used climbing techniques, as they are versatile and effective, which is very popular and highly sought after by good rock climbers. Due to this versatility, it can be used and applied in a range of outdoor climbing activities. This photo shows how I can use both my legs and my arms to push upwards and climb at a faster rate. By positioning my hands to be close to my body, I can lean over them and push up, gaining height and allowing me to find better footholds. However, this photo shows that I still have more to work on. My arms are bent and my legs straight. This is poor form as it can tire your arms out. However, I'm looking for better footholds, which is very good, as most novices tend to only focus on their handholds. The outdoor skill that I chose was rock climbing techniques. This can range from footholds to weight placement, and however, it can only be applied within rock climbing. Really, as unlike, say, knots, which can be used for everything from tying down gear to rock climbing to archery, rock climbing techniques are very specific to just climbing. However, it doesn't have to be rock climbing. It could be like climbing trees, or abseiling, or bungee jumping. There is a few areas, but it's all centers around rock climbing. Continuing on, I would say that I had learnt quite a lot on this trip, because I only had the learning from the rock climbing trip, which I did almost a year ago now. Much of that knowledge had been forgotten. It was thanks to some of the teachers, such as Simo, who had a broad band of knowledge, which he was willing to share with students. He's the one that introduced me to smearing techniques. He taught me about like where your hips should be, and like shifting your body weight. He said, Miss Allen, she said she was talking to me about how I should try and, in some instances, my body should be away from the rock, because one climb where the rock it was a slope, it cut away. So she said that if the closer I stayed into the wall, the more my body weight and the rope which was attached would shift my body weight away and want to make me fall out. And so her recommendation was to stretch away from the rock climbing. But then she was also saying it's also good to hug the wall sometimes. To keep your arms straight, as that takes the tension off your muscles and it lets them rest. It was a great learning experience.